Welcome to Erica Lynn Speaks. An inspirational, motivational conversation designed specifically to help you move forward. And now, here's Erica Lynn.
Welcome to another wonderful episode of Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. I'm back. I'm so excited to be back today, you guys. We are the second week in the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. We have walked into 2026. I am so excited. You know, today we're going to be talking about walking in purpose, where faith, career, and entrepreneurship meet. But before we get into all of that, I want to make sure that you guys like, follow, and subscribe. You guys know I'm trying to build my YouTube channel, so y'all see me on all of the platforms. But hook your girl up and go on over to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay? You know, today we're shooting at home in the at-home studio, and I'm so excited because we're going back into the studio next week, and we have such a great lineup coming up over the next 12 weeks. So we're going to hammer it out. We're going to bring you love, laughter, how to heal, how to grow, how to just step beyond yourself. But in order to do that, we had to go through some things ourselves. We had to rejuvenate because we were just going and going and going. And so we had me and my team. I gave them some time off. They was like, we on Christmas break and you just working us. I said, okay. I'm going, we're going to shoot at home one more week. And then we going in the studio and we hitting them hard, right? We hitting them hard or we going home. So we are unpacking a lot of wonderful things in 2026. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you, we rolling out the new show called Couch Wine and Conversations. Couch Wine and Conversations will be aired monthly. It's going to be a beautiful show. You got 5 women, real women, having real conversations, almost like we in a beauty salon. And it's going to be an amazing show. So the women and I, we're going to be shooting. We're going to be drinking our wine. Like my daddy used to say, shooting the stuff and shooting spit. I can't say the word right because we ain't at the church, I ain't going to get started. Y'all know me. But I want you to be aware of Couch Wine and Conversations is coming out. My team, they're going to drop the promo. It's going to be an amazing show. So y'all can't ditch Erica Lynn Speak podcast and just watch Couch Wine and Conversations. And I call it CWC. Both shows is going to be amazing. We're going to bring you some information. We're going to talk about some things, just questions that many women may have. And you might not have a person to go to and ask those questions, whether it's about menopause, whether it's about life, kids, job, finding balance. You're going to hear from real women how they dealt with these things, how they're moving forward, and some things that they can provide to you to help you move forward, right? And so that's enough about Couch Wine and Conversations because that show is going to be unstoppable. But here on Erica Lynn Speaks podcast, y'all know every week I'm trying to inspire, motivate, and uplift you and bring you some things that possibly can make a difference in your life. But before we jump into the 7 steps of purpose discovery, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor because without our sponsor, man, Erica Lynn Speaks.
Experience the difference with Executive Transportation Services Network, your trusted leader in luxury ground transportations and concierge services. Our award-winning team delivers safe, reliable, and professional services every time. Call 734-770-8990. Choose Executive Transportation Services Network, where excellence rides with you.
Well, we want to shout out to Executive Transportation Services Network for sponsoring this episode of Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. And if you are interested in being a sponsor, you can send an email to sponsor@IamEricaLynnSpeaks.com, and my team, they will make sure that they send you a copy of the sponsor packet and all of the information. So we're just going to jump right into today's topic. Purpose isn't just about what you do. It's about who you are becoming while you do it. Too often, we separate faith from our work, our business, but God never intended them to live different lives. So today, we're talking about how faith, career, and entrepreneurship come together to help you walk confidently in your purpose. So we're going to talk about the first step, right? The first step, because we talked about 7. So the thing is, we're talking about 7 purpose steps of discovery. So the first step is seek God before strategy. So when you seek God before strategy, that means that you have an opportunity to talk to him and allow him to guide you and motivate you and guide you into the right direction. Because too often, many people jump out there and it's almost like sometimes you put what they say, put a horse before the cart, however that saying go. I can't remember how it go. But a lot of times people jump out there without seeking guidance, or they say, okay, I'm going to start a business, but they don't do all the steps that they need to do first before they start their business. They just jump out there and hit the ground running. So this is the same thing with seek God before strategy. Because before the business plan, before the resume update, before the next move, seek God. Prayer isn't a delay, it's direction. When you acknowledge him first, he orders your steps. So, and the thing is, a lot of my team members, they're going in different directions in their lives, and they like, oh, I want to do this, and they excited and they anxious about doing these things. And I remember Pastor Barb telling one of my team members, pray about it first. Let God move you, let God direct you, right? Let God order your steps. And so if you listen to God, if you go to God first, then he's not going to lead you wrong. Because sometimes when you go on your own and you make a decision too fast, or you make a decision without confiding in him or talking to him, things don't necessarily pan out like you wanted them to. You're like, but I did this, but I did that. Why didn't I get the outcome? Because you didn't do the first step, which was seek God first. Seek him before your strategy, because he is the one that gives you the strategy. And I remember an old podcast that we did, we were talking about seeking God before your strategy. So I'm just going to play a clip from that podcast, and then we're going to discuss it after that clip. Start this business, or God put this vision in me, and then you go to your cousin or your sister and you're like, I'm going to start a business, and they be like, girl, whatever, you was just at the club hanging out last night, ain't nobody gonna come to you. So in your process or experiences, what would you say would be one of the number one things that would stop a person from moving forward in their purpose?
So I'll use your example. A lot of times we speak our visions or our thoughts or our dreams to others, and others will plant the seed in us that tells us that we can't, we're not equipped. So for me, it's like, it's funny you would say this. Today I saw this video. I'm gonna send it to you when I get off from here, and it was a video of Bishop Jakes. And he said, do it all. In the video, he said, do it all. He was talking about how he was speaking, he's getting ready to drop some Lifetime movies. And then he was saying how he was speaking at a real estate convention, and then on Saturday, and then on Sunday he was speaking at church. Well, none of these 3 things really coincide with each other. And most people would say you got to find your niche and you just got to stay in your lane. Like you can only have one lane. And he was like, no, you do it all. I can do all of that. I can go teach leaders. I can preach in the church, and then I can be a producer and a director too. And I think people will make you and block you into that one thing that they see you as great in, and they will not allow you to come out of that place. So first, I believe that you have to change your perspective on what your capacity and what you can do. Now, it does require action, but the beginning step is to believe, right? Yeah. To believe. I had some things that I had put on at the forefront of my mind of things that I wanted to do. And I was sharing some of those thoughts with some people. And I had somebody tell me, no, you haven't really positioned yourself like that. Right. So you really can't do that. Then I shared it with somebody else, and they said, oh, you can do that. And I said, you know what? I can do that, right? Because it's just that quick that one person can snatch a dream from you. When I was in it's funny that I'm coaching. When I left high school and I got ready to go to college, I was in Macomb Community College here in Michigan. And I was 18 years old, just finished high school, and I had one of my professors in college. I wanted to be a psychiatrist, so it would be funny that I'm a coach, right? But that would make sense because it kind of falls right in line with all of that, right? She told me, and you got to be careful when people plant seeds inside of you. She said, "Why would you want to do that? That takes 12 more years of education. Like, why would you want to do that?" So me, just coming from high school, thinking I'm not about to spend 12 more years and as a psychiatrist, but me also who didn't understand that a psychiatrist meant that I was a doctor, me who also didn't understand that it meant 4 years of college and then 4 years of medical school, and then it meant 4 years of an internship, right? Me who didn't understand the concept or the path or the journey to get to there, and me who just gave up on that because I did not know the right path to get there. And I allowed somebody to plant a seed inside of me that said that was going to be a lot, that was going to be too much. And I was like, I'm not about to go to school for 12 more years. I just did that, right? So, you just got to really be careful. So the first thing is believe in yourself, believe that you can. Because purpose is inside of you. So many people pursue purpose on the outside of them when really the purpose is inside of you. When God created you, he created you with every intention. He knows exactly the Bible says that before I formed you in your mother's womb, I already predestined. I know you. I formed you, right? I know who you are, right? So everything is inside of you. And so often we go in pursuit of purpose outside of who we are instead of taking the time to really go within ourselves because purpose is already in us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, that was deep. Pastor Barb, she always come through slang, right? She come through slang. And there was quite a few things that she said in that episode that really resonated. First of all, the biggest thing that stood out was when she talked to the professor, and the professor was saying that it's going to take 12 years. So she allowed the professor to talk her out of that vision or that dream that God had placed inside of her. So I know you've heard so many times people tell you can't share your stories or your ideas with everybody, right? You have to keep it to yourself. And that was one of the reasons why, is because somebody who does not know your journey, they don't know the path that God has placed you on. They don't know what your destiny is. And then they can talk you out of doing the very thing that God has called you to do, right? Because being a psychologist could have been her purpose, but she had to go on a journey to get there. And so what you guys, if many of you all have seen the episode that Pastor Barb was on, because she's a friend to the show, right? I call her the expert of Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. She still ended up going to school for many years. She got like 2 doctorates and the masters and all these degrees. And so if she had just went on ahead and finished it the first time, who's telling where she would have been in that realm of being a psychologist. However, I love her in the space that she's in now because she's such a wonderful woman, a beautiful woman of God, and she's just amazing, always passing things on and nuggets. And she says, yes, I'll come back on the podcast. So Pastor Barb, you are the expert of Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. So yes, you'll be back on the podcast. Okay. So thank you so much. And but again, she just that episode of Erica Lynn Speaks, it passed on so many nuggets. It helped many people discover and walk into their purpose, because it's not just one way that you can walk into your purpose. God sent it to you in many other different ways. But again, I'm going to stand on the first step, which is go to God, talk to God, pray about it, talk to him, and if you think you got to get on the floor and say Hail Mary, you don't have to do all that. I talk to God in my car while I'm riding down the highway in the morning. I'll be like, Lord, let me tell you, your girl ain't right today. Help me get it together. Help me get it together. And so you would think I'm talking to one of my girlfriends or one of the guys that I know, because in fact, that's who he is. And because I do that every day, every day I started seeing my purpose reveal itself more and more and more because I talk to him and I stand fast. And this is what he laid out. This was designed for me, right? So again, go to God. But then there's other things that you have to do in order to walk into your purpose, right? So the second step is I want you to recognize the gifts that God already has given you. Okay. So your gifts are not random. The skills that you carry, they pass on to you. You know, they come to you naturally. It's almost like some people they're just born talented. They're just born gifted. It's like they just woke up that day just like that, right? So these are things that I don't know. It's just almost like, wow, how is she so good at it? Or how is he so good at it? And I can't even do it. But that is that person's skill set. Other people, they might have to work hard at something, right? Like, for example, I'm not really the best painter, but that's something that I love to do. And so I set up the artwork and I sit and I paint. And each time I paint, I get better and better at it. So I said that I was going to fill the living room up with some of my paintings. My confidence ain't quite there. However, it is something that I worked at, and in order for me to get better at it. So your skill sets can come natural to you, or it can be something that you work hard at, or it could be something that like you watching somebody else do, and then you like, dang, I like what they do. And because you watching them, then it's something that kind of it just naturally comes to, it's like, it's the weirdest thing. And then you look up one day and you like, man, I didn't even know I could do that. So God doesn't give us gifts without purpose attached to them. And a lot of people do question, what is my purpose? You know, why am I here? Why was I placed on this earth? You know, why do I got to do this? Well, there is purpose behind the purpose that he's placed inside of you. I'll give you an example because I can speak about me and I speak about other people. Being a motivational speaker, a transformation coach, doing a podcast, writing a book. If you asked me this stuff 7, 8 years ago, this was not, I would have been like, no, I'm going to the club. We're going on a boat. We're going to go to the Bahamas. Or I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to do something to just chill out in life, but be productive, be a upstanding citizen, somebody who people like to follow. I got to be a role model. You know, I was like, no, I ain't in a role. It's a lot easier to do nothing than it is to do what you called to do, right? And anyway, when God called this out of me, I just jumped out and I started doing it. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know how to get on stage and speak, right? Because I was so ebonic, and that still come out of me sometimes. But I did have to work at it. I started taking speaking classes and watching other podcasts, going to conferences, watching speakers on stage speak, just doing all the things that I needed to do to grow my skill sets. So I had to recognize these talents that was inside of me because I didn't even know they was there. And it just started like some things I worked at and some things were just naturally that came to me. And I just remember doing, like, even when I did the episode of Erica Lynn Speaks and Pastor Sam was my guest, after it was over, says, okay, I can see why people talk to you. You're just naturally friendly. You're a natural people person. Yeah, because it's just something that comes to me. Like, I do understand that people like being around me. I'm the fun person, happy person. And so I'm like, okay, but I'm kind of introverted. That's the crazy part. I'm kind of introverted. I can close up in my house and not come out my house for days. I don't have to see nobody. And I'm here. So how can somebody that everybody loves to be around, everybody loves to enjoy, and I enjoy people, how can I be so introverted? That's because that side of me is something that just comes natural to me. When I was like really, really of the world, the party side was natural. Everybody was like, we love you. Can you come to our party? Can you come and hang out with me? And that's what I did. And so being able to transition those skill sets to the woman I am today, I thank God for that, first of all, right? Because I could be other places, but I'm here on Erica Lynn Speaks podcast, making sure that you guys get an opportunity to walk and discover your purpose. We did do an old episode on Erica Lynn Speaks podcast that also gave some supporting information about recognizing the gifts that's inside of you. And we're just going to play a clip from that episode as well. Sometimes people's purpose is what they do for a living.
Okay.
And then sometimes you have a purpose outside of what you do for a living.
Sure.
Can you have two purposes, or can you like, or is it in it? Like, I know it's a crazy question, but because you could be so good at what you do during the day from your 9 to 5, and it can just be enough. But then after you get off of work, then you have this whole world, right? Because you was a first responder, and then you still pastor.
Sure.
So how did you manage them both?
Great point. And I'll show you how that connects. And so I went through another level of life coach training. It's called strengths coach. All right. So within your purpose, you're going to find a connector, and that's your strength. The strength will show up in whatever you are doing. So let me give a great point. So, and I'll connect with my career. I did 26 years as a Detroit fireman, hundreds, thousands of fires, myself personally in fires. Some would say, well, how does that connect to preaching? Easy. I save lives there. I save lives here.
Okay, man. That's that.
Right? No. How does it connect? Here's my strength. So I found out my strength, even when I was at the firehouse, even in a fire. That's what I did. I would be the person that would certainly galvanize people, pour into as much as I can, problem solve. It was all coming together. I was a leader then, as well as a leader here. And finding those opportunities to be able to deposit things that it was showing up then. And so here's how I give an example of a coach. Strike that, a strengths coach.
Okay.
The example that I yield is, it's one thing to play basketball. It's another thing. Another one thing to know what position you play in basketball. So I'm a forward or I'm a point guard. It's another thing to know you are a facilitator. That was my strength.
Yeah.
I facilitate.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, you can shoot, you can score, you can rebound, but it takes sometimes a facilitator. And that's the strength that, and I'm not saying, that's my personal strength.
Right.
Everybody has a strength.
Right.
And you will see it in both of those arenas.
Right.
But the strength is what's going to reveal the purpose. That's
right. I agree with you. But sometimes you got to grow into it.
Agreed.
Right? You got to grow into it, because you do have the people who have self-doubt and just don't know, like you have so many people that go to a job and they just work that initial job.
Sure.
They don't inspire to go higher. They like, okay, I'm comfortable where I'm at, and that's it, because they don't see themselves in the boardroom.
Sure.
They don't see themselves where upper management, because upper management technically sometimes have those degrees, but they don't understand in this world, you can get there without having those degrees. You just got to actually have faith, and you got to you got to study, you got to learn, because I was not that.
Yeah.
But then somebody was pouring into me. So I would go to work in the boardroom, didn't have a clue what they was talking about. I'll come home and say what I got to say. And they say, okay, I need you to next board meeting. I need you to say this. But before every board meeting, I need you to get to work at 6:00 in the morning and download all of this information. So when you go in there and they ask you questions, then you're going to be the expert in that field. And as I started doing it more, then I grew into it. And now it's second nature. And now it's pouring over into the rest of my life and other areas of my life, because I stand in it and I own it, and I understand that I have a right to be in this room.
The scripture, and first off, you hit the nail right on the head, right? So the scripture says.
So you heard Pastor Sam. I asked him in my Ebonic way, can you have more than one purpose? I said, can you have more than one purpose? Y'all know your girl. I get tongue twisted sometimes, and that's just the way it is. But the reality of it is you can't have more than one purpose. And what I was trying to say, right, is that you can have a day job, which is something that you can really, really be good at, right? You went to school for it. You were just a natural. You could nail it out. But then when you get off of work, you're like, wow, I'm good at singing. I'm good at dancing. I'm good at race car driving. Being a tech person, being a speaker. Whatever it is, you can have more than one purpose that God has placed inside of you. You can have more than two purposes. So that's the instance that I put the S on it, right? So you have more than two purposes, and there's no limit to what you can do. So again, like Pastor Barb said, don't allow somebody to pour into you or stop you, put negative thoughts into you to tell you that you can't do something or you shouldn't do something. You can do whatever it is and try as many things as you want, because one day some of those things are just going to stick and you're going to look up and this is what you're known for. Like, wow, he's the best tech guy. He's an amazing architect. Because if you think about it, if we didn't have people out in this world that was not amazing at the things they do, then we wouldn't have houses to live in. We wouldn't have buildings that we go into. We wouldn't have cars, especially all this new technology. Somebody came up with this brainiac idea. Well, let me say who came up with it. I would say the Simpsons and the Jetsons. Because if you think about it, a lot of y'all might not be that age to know about the Simpsons and the Jetsons. But if you think back to episodes of Bart Simpson and episodes of the Jetsons, a lot of the things that we're seeing today, they put them in the cartoons. So just because it was a cartoon doesn't mean that it wasn't the idea that God placed inside of somebody. So whoever was putting that cartoon together, God had already given them that vision of things that we are experiencing today, right? So that was wonderful. So shout out to Pastor Sam for helping us with step number 2. So step number 3, let your burden point to your business. So in other words, what breaks your hearts or frustrates you might be the very thing that God is calling you to solve. Many entrepreneur ideas are born with compassion. It meets obedience. Your burden can become your assignment. So sometimes you're just like, oh my God, this frustrates me. And listen, I can relate to that because I have a 24-year-old son, and he is just so naturally good at tech. I'm telling y'all, right? He was at Specs Howard. He was at all these places. He's just so naturally good at it. But certain parts of it just frustrates him. I think it's the demand when people require, okay, I need this video done by this deadline. Or when you have to the business side of like the tech stuff he can do, but when it's the tech mixed with the business or the tech mixed with the demand, then it frustrates him and he doesn't want to do it. But is he amazing at it? Man, that boy should be a multi-millionaire, in which God is going to call that out of him after I get through shaking some things into him. But it's something that frustrates him. He's great at it, but it frustrates him at the same time. And so that's going to be the very thing that God is calling his purpose. Y'all see me talk about him all the time. He's my producer of my show. He makes sure that the cameras run. Then I got another child that makes sure the audio is good. But the one thing that me and Mini-Me, called Deja, we pay attention to everything that they do because they teach us, just in case they don't show up for an episode of Erica Lynn Speaks podcast, then we can run it ourselves, right? So, but again, going back into it, let your burden point to your business. Whatever that thing is that you want to work to, that you want to work towards, that the thing that might be hard, it might not be easy trying to understand what your purpose is. Like, it probably gets on your doggone nerves. But then when you finish or you get to that finish line, you're like, oh my God, this was amazing. I could do it. Because everything that I do is not easy to everybody else. Some things is easy to me. A lot of things frustrates me. One of the things that frustrates me is bringing Erica Lynn Speaks back. Yes, I'm here. I'm glad to pour into y'all, but it frustrates me sometimes because I want to come home and just lay on the couch and look at TV. But no, I got to put on makeup. I got to put my eyelashes on. I got to go get my nails done. I got to rehearse. I got to study. I got to prepare for the next episode. I got to pour into people. And again, it's just a lot easier to do nothing. But sometimes the things that God has called you to do, it frustrates you. And I'm here, right? So that's how you get episodes of Erica Lynn Speaks every week. So we're going to go on to step number 4, because I'm not going to keep y'all here all night. We only got an hour show because I probably can ramble a lot, but we're not even going to get on a ramble. So number 4, redeem your past. Don't regret it. Your past wasn't wasted. Every experience, good or bad, prepared you for this season. What you survived is often what qualifies you to serve, lead, and build. It's an amazing statement, because you had to have experiences in your past. If you have heard my spoken word, I always talk about your past does not define your future. However, your past is something that you had to go through in order to be here today, because those experiences, they shaped you, they guided you, they built you, you figured out, I didn't like that, I didn't want to do that, or some trouble that you got into, I made that mistake, I'm not going back down that road. So again, don't look at the past as a bad thing. Just look at the past as an experience, something that guided you and shaped you into who you are, the man or woman who you are today, right? I always give this analogy because it's the easiest one. When you're teaching your toddler, don't touch the stove, because usually when you're in the kitchen, they got to come and see what mama and daddy doing. You say, don't touch the stove. It's hot. And they looking at you like, whatever. Mom and daddy don't know what they talking about. That stove look very interesting. I want to touch it. And they touch that stove and start screaming and hollering, burn the heck out their hand. And you say, I told you don't touch the stove. The parents is hurt because the baby done burnt their finger. But guess what? I can promise you that toddler never came back in that kitchen and touched that stove again, right? That was a lesson that they learned. It shaped them. They understand going forward that when something is hot, you better get out the way. So that's a lot like life. The experiences that you had, they shaped you to who you are today. You survived them, you lived it, and you moving on. But then we got a past podcast episode that really kind of gave us a little bit about redeem your past and don't regret it. Okay, to the individual who have gone through similar experiences, or who's afraid to continue on their walk because of the things in their past or the things that's holding them back. How could they even move forward with all of these things holding them like in their forefront or bigger in their mind than what it really is?
That's a mental block.
Okay.
Your past does not hold you back. Your past is something that, if you allow it to affect you in a positive way and you learn from your past, you allow it to define you for your future, to make you greater. I feel like the past is like wine. The longer a wine or alcoholic beverage is fermented, the better it tastes, right? So when you learn from your mistakes and you allow yourself to ferment from those mistakes, you become a better tasting beverage. Those mistakes can help others. It can allow you to teach others, to just be a guide and a role model. Because if you can tell people about things, but it's a different level of description when you've experienced something. Okay. So you definitely want to use those experiences to be a guide to help others around you. And that will be something that allows you to take your past and put it forward. The other thing is when you recognize your past and you forgive yourself for the things that you did wrong, and you love yourself for the things that you did right, and you accept it all as a whole, nobody is able to come forward and weaponize your past against you. You are in control. You have the power.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking into our live. I'm gonna fight somebody. Okay. I'm gonna fight somebody. No, but you guys saw the episode with me and Q. That was my oldest son. And he's right. You know, first of all, when I look at him speak, I say, wow, he's such an eloquent young man. He's really grown up and matured from the young man he used to be. He was something else. Just say that he was something else. And again, that just goes into what the whole point. If his past of who he used to be when he was a young man defined who he is today, you definitely wouldn't get that eloquent man that you hear, that you saw there on that podcast clip, because he's an amazing young man. He keeps me grounded. He always goes, mother, you know. So it's the funniest thing, but he was right. You know, you just have to move forward, learn from those lessons, learn from those experiences that you have had in life, and just don't let them define you. Just keep moving forward, right? Just keep moving forward. So we're going to go into step number 5. Step number 5 is align your work with kingdom values. Success without alignment leads to burnout. Integrity, stewardship, excellence, and service matter. When your work honors God, your purpose stays sustainably. So, in other words, success without alignment sometimes means that you're leading on your own understanding. You're not leading on God's understanding. You're doing what you think is best, or what you say, oh, this is what I'm going to do. But God got another path for you. He may wanted you to go in a different direction, but you like, I'm going to do this. I'm going my way because this is what I want. And then things might not necessarily work out the way that you planned them, because this was not in alignment with you. Let me see if I can give you a great example of not walking in alignment. I would say, like, we could talk about my mini me, right? She has always said, I'm going to be an airline stewardess, right? But her goal was always to be a translator. Let me say this. It always was to be a translator. We talked about what the plan was and how she was going to be a translator, where God was going to lead her. And this was her mission. But then she wanted to do other things. She wanted to be an airline stewardess. She wanted to run a nightclub. She wanted to do a couple other things. And I remember her flying back home to America so she can go on the job interview, and she had her heart set on being an airline stewardess. And I remember she didn't get the job. Somebody else got the job. I think a Chinese person got the job, you know, because you guys know she speaks fluent Chinese. She stayed on my couch for 6 months in a depression state because she didn't get that job. But I'm telling you that story because God didn't have that for her. Because right after that, the whole world went into a pandemic. So a lot of those people who got the job, they was laid off. If they did work, they only worked a couple of hours. They didn't make enough money to earn a 40-hour paycheck. Half of the world got COVID. So that wasn't what God had in line for her. You know, I hate that she melted my couch for 6 months, but the point was that wasn't what he had in line for her. And then again, she's in another path process right now. She was going to take one direction, and then God gave her another direction. And then we get an email today, the direction that she thought she was going to go in, all that got shut down. So the direction that she changed to, because she prayed about it this time. She talked to Pastor Barb, and Pastor Barb said, make sure you pray about it. And she prayed about it. And so now she's walking in alignment, and all the things is lining up for her because she's walking in alignment of what God has called for her. So we do know that whatever she's going to do, she's going to translate. But he wants her in a certain place, in a certain time of walking in her alignment, right? So I said that to say that, again, sometimes the thing that you think is what God would want you to, but if you didn't pray about it and it's not the direction that he wants you in, then that thing might not work out. So you have to walk into alignment. And so success without alignment leads to burnout. That means that you running and 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 running. And then you just like, oh, I can't run no more. And when you in alignment and you going, it's like fueling you. You got energy, you got passion. Like you can when you wake up in the morning, you like, I'm up because this is what I'm called to do. I'm excited. Man, if y'all knew what I do in the process of a day, I get up at 4 a.m. Yes, I pray, but I'm up and dressed. I'm running, I'm getting dressed. I'm out the door at 5:30. I'm going to do a whole nother thing. And then when I'm finished with that thing, I show up at my day job, right? Because that is what I'm good at. I'm great at that. That is part of my passion because I do medical billing and code. I actually manage and run and teach people medical billing and code and insurance. So that was a purpose that I was called to. So that's one thing that I do. And then when I get off of there, then I come and do all of this. Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. I'm writing another book. We preparing to get back on stage. I'm about to work on another spoken word album. So both of those, from working my day job to doing these are my purpose. And so even when I can't go no more, y'all gotta be sending my team. My team is amazing. Okay. I just love my team. Even when I don't even know they coming and let your girl know, say, we know this is your purpose. God sent us here to keep you going. Because I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I'll be like, oh Lord, I don't want to keep going. But then my team, they show up and show out. So shout out to my team. All of y'all are so beautiful. So I'm gonna keep it moving. We're gonna go on to step number 6. Take faith-fueled action. God doesn't usually reveal the whole plan. He reveals the next step. Purpose unfolds through the obedience and motion. Faith requires action, even when clarity feels incomplete. So what does that mean? What does that mean, Erica? He don't always reveal the whole plan. Let me tell you, I have no idea what God is going to do next. But what I can say is at the end of 2025, when I was just like, man, I did question God. I ain't gonna lie. Forgive me, Lord. I was like, why did you make Erica Lynn Speaks come back? And somebody told me, you better not question God. Don't you question God. And I said, okay, I ain't gonna question God. And I took them, my team, they kept pulling me. They pulled me because sometimes you got to lean on people. Don't think that you got to do it all yourself. They're my team. They kept pulling me. They pulling me and pulling me. And I said, okay, we walking into 2026 and I'm shooting it out my mouth, but I'm still like, and my team pulling me. And then I just woke up one day and I was like, I got it. We about to hit the ball rolling. God done put ideas in my head. He done told me what we got to do. He done told me how we going to do it. Let's get a team meeting. Let's pull this together. Let's go. And then everything just started taking off. I mean, everything. And I can't reveal everything to y'all on camera, right? Because, I can't tell y'all all guys' ideas. What I am going to do is just show y'all as we walk more and more into 2026. Y'all going to be like, oh my God, Erica. But you guys definitely will see why God called me out of hiding, because I got purpose on my life. I understand and I own that I have people's lives in my hand. There's people that I have to inspire, that I have to motivate, that I have to encourage, that I have to help understand that you too have purpose. It's time for you to discover what your purpose is. It's time for you to walk into your purpose. Don't hold back. Don't stop. Discover, understand, love it, have your experiences, have your wins, have your losses, whatever it is that you got to do and whatever it is that you're going to go through. But just understand that you got much purpose inside of you, and God is going to open it up and reveal it to you. That clarity is going to come. It's just going to hit you like a thief in the night, like, oh my God, this is what I was called to do. So the clarity is coming. So we're going to hit the seventh and final step. The seventh and final step, so you guys understand. Seventh step is trust God with timing and the growth. Ooh, that's deep. I'm saying it again. Trust God with the timing and growth. Purpose developing seasons. Stay faithful. Stay teachable. God brings the increase at the right time. Your responsibility is obedience. His responsibility is expansion. I probably better say that again. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Purpose develops in season. Stay faithful. Stay teachable. God brings increase at the right time. Your responsibility is obedience. His responsibility is expansion. I don't even know what else to say. Stay on your path. Stay focused. Stay obedient. Stay teachable. Listen, let me tell you, I'm going to just say this. I got a whole squad. I got one that teaches me how to speak, one that corrects me when I'm on camera. They was like, you can't do that on camera, or you can't say that on camera. One that helps me with the business side. I mean, I could just tell y'all. And so in this season of Erica Lynn Speaks, see, the first time Erica Lynn Speaks, Erica Lynn is the brand, the company, the everything. Not in this season. I'm here on camera and I got a whole squad to help run the business, because I realized, remember when I said you learn from your experiences and your lessons? One woman can't help everybody in the world, but one woman, God can pull and bring other people to me that and then will help me help y'all. I don't know what else to say. So we're going to check this other episode, this other clip from an old episode of Erica Lynn Speaks podcast, and it's going to go a little bit and talk about trust God with timing and growth. You're not going to discover your purpose overnight. It is going to take time for you to nurture your gifts and your skill set. And so that when you do walk into it, you're like, oh, wow, okay, I'm here. And I always have to go back to the fact that when I started doing Erica Lynn Speaks, I know I am like, okay, let's talk about the first episode, right?
Okay.
The first episode, I was like, hey, I'm Erica Lynn Speaks. And so my first guest, he actually had to kind of take over the show. And towards the middle of the show, then my voice kind of toned down because I started learning from him. But this was not something that I planned on doing. I thought like podcasting, you do audio only. This was God that was telling me to do audio and video. I had no, knowledge of why, but I'm still walking in it. And so I said that to say that I had to learn to get here, right? People had to pray into me and saying, like one pastor said, I pray that you discover your voice.
Wow, that's true.
And that was like, I was like, huh? But then I understood it when I went back and watched that first episode. I was like, oh my God. But then the other thing was I would get critiqued, like, because I'm a little country sometimes and I speak a little Ebonic, but that's just me, right?
Sure.
And so I had to get past that too, because I had to learn that the people that watch me and follow the show, that's the things that they love about
attraction.
me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I had to get there. And so I want viewers to understand that you might have to get there too, and it's going to take some time to get there.
That's right. Yeah. We all have a voice, right? And I'm not just talking about what is emitting a sound, right? No. We have a voice in terms of what our life will connect with people, right? And of course, it's through our experiences and everything like that. But you have to find that place where you're comfortable. I think that's what Pastor was sharing with you. He was sharing with you, and I pray you find your voice. When he's saying that is, find that sense of confidence, find that sense of knowing you are present, find that sense of knowing you belong. I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. The Lord has placed me here. I have not only something to say, but there are people who will hear me.
Yes.
That's what it means by finding your voice.
Wow. That's deep. And then so again, shout out to Pastor Sam. Look, every time we come back from a clip, I keep saying, oh, I forgot to fix my little bun on top of my head, y'all. Whatever, okay? Because I'm Erica Lynn, and by the time we get back in the studio, we got the Glam squad gonna get me together, right? But shout out to Pastor Sam again, just reinforcing to trust God, and how that we're going to move forward. So we're going to take a question from the audience, and then I'm gonna close out on this segment, and then I got something special for you guys. So the audience question, because we get audience they text Deja. Be clear about that. They text, they call, whatever. Even when we shooting at home, we still got the audience. So y'all know this. So anyway, what was the biggest mistake you've made that truly defined you today? Who did it affect the most? So let me think about it. I wouldn't say that's a mistake. Because okay, so I can say this. One of the biggest mistakes that I made is trying to be everything to everybody. So in other words, I was the motivator, the speaker, the camera person. I was the sales person. I was the secretary. I was the web designer. Even though I had a web designer, I was controlling everybody, trying to tell everybody what to do, still working a day job, still hustling on the side. I was trying to be everything to everybody, still show up as a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend. And the biggest mistake I made was that it affected some of my relationships with people because I just didn't have time to have a relationship. I didn't have time to show up as a good woman. I didn't have time to show up as a good friend. I had I had made some mistakes with my own children. I didn't have the time to spend with my mom. And so it affected my viewers because they didn't really truly get the 100% Erica Lynn, right? You got parts of me, but you didn't get the woman that you got today. And so, so being able to understand the mistake that I did and who did it affect or how it affect, when Erica Lynn Speaks came back this time, I came back better than ever. Why? Because I didn't come back by myself. I came back with my squad. Man, I came back with my squad. So now I don't have to be everything to everybody. Simply, if you send an email, it might not even be me that you're talking to on the email. My assistant is taking care of that. The tech stuff, my team is taking care of that. Like I used to be so frenzied before we go into an episode. I couldn't remember what we're talking about on the episode. I would get on stage, couldn't remember my speeches sometimes because I was trying to do everything and everybody. So now I could focus. I could rehearse. I could focus. I can spend when you have a coaching session with me, I could really pour into you. So it affected other people, but then I learned that lesson. And so now I'm back, right? Yay. Do we have any other questions? Okay. So the audience question is, growth brings humility. What is your most humble experience? That's a good one. My most humble experience. I got one. My most humble experience is my very first time going to an event before I decided to be a motivational speaker, but I kind of hadn't gotten it yet. None of this was really created. I just jumped out there and said, I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna be a motivational speaker. I'm gonna be a trainer. So I went to go see Les Brown. And I remember I bought the front row ticket and I'm sitting in the front row and I manifest I'm going to meet Les Brown that day. Oh my God. Cause I watched every YouTube video that was out back then. So I get to the event early. About 5 other people was there in the front row. The other people hadn't filled in. So the lady come and she says, hey, you guys are on the front row. You want to meet Les Brown? We was like, yeah. So she took us backstage. I got a chance to meet Les Brown, take pictures with him, meet his daughter, Fiona. But Mildred Gaddis was there at the event. And she asked me a question. I can't even remember what the question is today, but she asked me a question and I didn't have an answer. And she just told me, keep at it, work at it. You will get the answer. And that was the most humbling experience for me because I thought I was like, hey, cute. So what I learned is when you're around the greats, be quiet, listen, and learn. Don't act like you know everything. just be honest and humble. Say, I don't know the answer. And they'll pour into you and teach you. So yeah, so that was a very humbling experience. So so anyway, those were the 7 steps into walking into your purpose, a purpose discovery. And I hope you guys got something out of that. But I'm going to give you guys something a little special today. But make sure that if you're feeling stuck or uncertain, remember this clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from walking. Take the step. God will meet you the rest of the way. So make sure you go on over to my website. I am EricaLynnSpeaks.com and sign up for my emailing list because I'm going to have some amazing things coming down the pipeline for you. Okay. So get on that emailing list. So we're going to close out with this. I got something for you guys. You ready, team? Let's go. Your purpose in life may not always be known, but please repeat after me. Today, I will discover what my purpose is. I will not only discover my purpose, but I will walk into my purpose. When I discover things about myself, I will not run and not get scared. I will play big in my life. I will show up in my purpose, and I will show out in my purpose. And I will be happy to play full out. When you're going to do something big, bold, and life-changing, it is important to look at oneself. It is imperative that you deal with your past or any issue that you may have faced. There could have been someone that were involved in a car accident early in life. As a result of the accident, this person began to have fears of driving in vehicles or achieving things in their life. It is now termed as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. This accident has held you back from thinking about what life is like when you take a step. What possibilities can come into my life if I take a step? What things in life I can embark upon if I take a step? What journeys I can go on if I take a step? What doors can open if I take a step? One day you decide you're going to take that step. You heard that if you work hard towards your goals, that it would change your life. Your goals will bring you access and increase. You know that in order to receive your increase, you have to work hard to get there first. You know that you really want to do your best and achieve all that you can. Then you stop and think, how am I going to do so? Now, not only do you have to write a plan, but you're going to have to go on a journey to reach your goal. Now, this accident is stuck in your head, and you can't reach the promised land because you are scared. You say to yourself, what must I do? Dr. Miles Monroe said, you design your days to create value in your life, either to design it or someone will design it for you. Now, my first recommendation will be to start praying. The second thing you must do is very different. But remember, if you complete these steps, there's a pot of gold at the end of your rainbow. First step you take and you say, I am not afraid. As you take a deep breath and open up the doors to life. Second step, you say, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. As you begin to research and learn all that you can learn. Third step, then you dig deep down inside yourself and pull up all the things that God has placed inside of you. All your life experiences, all the people God has placed in your life for you to learn from. Les Brown said, are you going through it or are you growing through it? What lessons are you learning from it? Fourth step is courage. As you say, nothing can stop me but fear itself. So don't let it get in your way. Fifth step is faith. I know that God got me while I'm on this walk. Sixth step. I am not afraid of the turbulence as it comes my way. It is just God's love as he has placed his arms of protection around me. So you must expect things to get better. It didn't come to stay. It just simply came to pass. Seventh step. I am ready and your plan is all laid out. You are on your way. Eighth step. And final step, when you arrive at the end of the road, before you get ready to run your victory lap for your accomplishments, you say, I am ready to play full out. What has happened is, before you realize, you took one step after another step and you played full out. What you did was you walked into your dreams and into your vision and into your purpose and who God has called you to be. You did not let fear stop you and trauma hold you back. You became the man or woman who God has called you to see. And if God can do it for me, then I know he can do it for you. As you embark on your next journey in your life, there are some things you must do. Just remember, whatever has happened in your past does not define your future. So please take peace with you while you're on your walk. Love yourself unconditionally. The happiness that you feel inside, no one can take from you. The inspiration that you gain from watching the walk that you took. The courage that you displayed, no one can take from you. The steps you took, they were there to guide you. And when the road gets tough and life comes at you, then you do what you do best and you stand up and fight. Don't let nothing get in your way. And when you look back at the journey you took, just remember, it only takes just one step beyond you. God bless you. This is Erica Lynn.